I struggle with anxiety really, really bad. I actually got clinically diagnosed with generalized anxiety and socialized anxiety. They're two different things. I feel like a lot of people don't understand what true anxiety feels like. I hate with the passion going into situations and not knowing what the situation is going to be like. Like PowerPoints, for example. Like, let's say like we have to present a PowerPoint. I need to see the PowerPoint. I need to know what PowerPoint I'm reading. I need to read over my PowerPoint multiple times. Like, that is the kind of prep that I have to do in order to not be overly anxious in those situations. And people don't understand that. Putting me on the spot will literally spike my anxiety by like 1,000. People think because I can get on a camera in the comfort of my own home where no one is around to hear me, that those social skills translate to when I'm in front of a group of people, and it doesn't. I don't like the idea of being around a bunch of people that can see me, that have their eyes on me. That's why I literally, again, I don't like presentations. I don't like performing on a stage in front of people. Like, stuff like that is like, no. And when you have high anxiety, and when you have anxiety that literally affects your day to day, and you're anxious like literally every single day, it's hard. It's really hard. It's not easy. Hey everyone, it's Brie. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another video, and we're gonna be reacting to the key to overcoming social anxiety. This popped up on my recommended feed, so I figured, why not react to it? And if you guys watch it, cool. If you don't, cool. But no, so basically I wanted to react to this because, I struggle with anxiety really, really bad. I actually got clinically diagnosed with generalized anxiety and socialized anxiety. They're two different things. But yeah, I have really, really bad anxiety. Like, it's so bad. And it's literally an everyday battle with my anxiety, bro. Like, it's just it really makes it hard to even do some like simple things. Like, even talking on the phone sometimes is anxiety inducing if I don't know the person, or like the idea of like booking a doctor's appointment, like that gives me anxiety. Or talking in front of a crowd, that gives me anxiety. Or I don't know, just anything. And it does make it difficult, especially when you're trying to like, do new things and trying to step outside your comfort zone. Anxiety can really hinder that a lot. And so, I've definitely have spent this past like year and some change. I mean, I've always fought against my anxiety, but my anxiety was like on a whole nother level this past like year. And I felt like a lot of people just didn't understand. I felt like a lot of people don't understand what true anxiety feels like. I felt like people equivalent being anxious to being nervous. That's not the same thing. And so I feel like a lot of people, they just don't really know what it's like to have anxiety in general, but also just to have anxiety on that level, and to have it literally every single day. Because yeah, I just feel like people are just like, oh, just suck it up and just, push through. Just don't think about it. It's like, that's not how it works. That's literally not how anxiety works. And I feel like people just didn't really understand that. And I also feel like too, like, people don't really accommodate for anxiety either. They just expect you to just push through it and just not be anxious. But with that being said though, because the world is not very forgiving when it comes to anxiety, I want to see if there are some ways that I can help to overcome my anxiety. I know people have given me kind of like generic tips, like, oh, focus on your breathing and stuff like that, but it doesn't typically work for me. And so I'm gonna see what this video is talking about and what keys they have to overcoming social anxiety.
Improvement pill here. A very interesting study was conducted in 2000 at Cornell University by Professor Thomas Gilovich. He took groups of students and randomly selected one individual from each group. He then told the rest of the students to show up to a certain room at a certain time to work on a quote-unquote project.
Oh, just hearing that's giving me anxiety, bro. Just hearing that's giving me anxiety. To be somewhere at a certain time, and then being told you're gonna do something, but then not know what it is. Oh my goodness. This no, because that's part of it too, right? It's like, I hate with the passion going into situations and not knowing what the situation is going to be like. I can't stand it. And that literally goes with anything. I hate like especially if someone is telling me to like hop on a Zoom call but they aren't telling me what the Zoom call is about. Immediate anxiety. Or just anything, or even like, and that's another thing too, right? It's like, and this is like the hard thing that I've had to try and explain to people, right? Is even like when you're putting on an event, right? For my anxiety to be at ease, I need to know what's going on. I need to know what's happening and in what order and what's going on, especially if it's an event that I have to help lead. I need to know, like PowerPoints, for example. Like, let's say like we have to present a PowerPoint. I need to see the PowerPoint. I need to know what PowerPoint I'm reading. I need to read over my PowerPoint multiple times. Like, that is the kind of prep that I have to do in order to not be overly anxious in those situations. And people don't understand that. And so I feel like a lot of times people would expect me to just know what to do or know what to say on the spot. Putting me on the spot will literally spike my anxiety by like 1,000. Like, you cannot put me on the spot. It's not, because people think it's a matter of like being prepared, or it's none of that. Because I feel like too, like, a lot of people have told me before that I'm well spoken, and that I don't sound well spoken right now, but people have said that I'm well spoken and that I tend to know what to say. But that's if I'm prepared, or that's if I'm around people that I know and that I'm comfortable with. And people don't understand that that doesn't translate. It's the same thing with YouTube. People think because I can get on a camera in the comfort of my own home where no one is around to hear me, that those social skills translate to when I'm in front of a group of people, and it doesn't. And so, yeah, if I'm doing something, I need to know what's going on. That's why interviews mess me up so much, because you don't know what they're going to ask. And that thought alone makes my anxiety spike.
Very important to note that all of the seats in this room were positioned in a way so that everyone was facing the door. He then took the singled out individuals, purposely stalled them a bit, and had them wear a t-shirt with a well-known person on it, such as Martin Luther King or Bob Marley. He then told that individual to go to the room knowing that they would be late, and also knowing that all of the other students would look up at the door and notice who was coming in. This experiment was supposed to replicate an embarrassing event. The singled out individuals knew that they were the only ones who were late, and they were led to believe that everyone else noticed by the fact that everyone looked up when they walked into the room. After the experiment, the researchers asked these embarrassed individuals how many of the students...
This sounds like torture. I'm sorry. This sounds like torture. Like, especially the idea of having eyes on you. Again, that gives me anxiety. That's why I don't like social events either. I don't like the idea of being around a bunch of people that can see me, that have their eyes on me. That's why I literally, again, I don't like presentations. I don't like performing on a stage in front of people. Like, stuff like that is like, no. Because just the thought of everybody, like, looking at me at one time is just, I just can't do it. And also embarrassing situations. I don't handle embarrassment well at all. Whenever I get embarrassed, it's something that literally haunts me all day. Sometimes for like a week straight, I'm thinking about whatever it is. Like, even if I fall, like sometimes, like some people can fall down the stairs and they might get embarrassed in that second, but then they can laugh it off and move on with their day. I am not that person. I will sit there and I will harbor on it all day. I will replay it in my head nonstop. Like, I cannot handle being embarrassed. And that's why I get pissed when I'm with people and they'll do embarrassing stuff, or they'll do stuff to draw attention. I really don't like that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Like, if you're the type of person, cool. But I really don't like it when I'm with a group of people and they're like being loud and obnoxious and they're doing stuff to bring attention. I cannot stand that.
Students do you think remembered the incident vividly? And on average, these singled out individuals reported that 50% of all the other students would be able to recall the event and the shirt that they were wearing because, well, they messed up. And they were absolutely sure that a large chunk of people in the room noticed. But what the researchers actually found was that only 10% of the students in that room were able to recall the event and the t-shirt. 5 times less than what our embarrassed individuals thought. What this experiment discovered is what's called the spotlight effect. We humans often overestimate how much others care about our negative and also positive actions.
True.
We think that the spotlight is on us, that everyone is looking at us and judging us, when in reality, the large majority of people simply don't care. And this is a very, very important concept that you need to internalize if you are struggling with social anxiety. See, the main reason we feel anxious around others is because we feel like they're watching us and judging us. We're scared to act how we want, to be ourselves, because we don't want to risk people looking down on us. We don't want others to dislike us. But in reality, the large majority of people simply don't care that much about you. I know this sounds like a bad thing, but it's just...
Yeah, I mean, like, cause that is something that I struggle with. I think I never really understood where my social anxiety comes from, but him saying that actually explains it a lot, because that's how I felt in high school a lot. Oh my gosh. Like, I always just felt like, I felt like everybody in my proximity was staring at me all day, 24/7. Like, I felt like I was being watched, and it literally would just make me so anxious. Like, I would be so anxious just walking down the hallway, going to lunch or going to the bathroom, because I just thought that everybody in the hallways and I just always thought that people were constantly like looking at me and judging me and, you know, picking me apart in their head. And some of that stems from bullying too, like when I used to get picked on a lot. But yeah, like I always felt like people were just looking at me, because when I was in high school, I used to think, well, again, it comes from being bullied for those things, but I would always think that people were constantly looking for like flaws, whether that was like me having a big nose, or which I've been told, me having a big nose, or my hair not being done, or me having a hair out of place, or, you know, I don't know, my outfit not being right. Like, I always thought that people were like judging how I looked, judging how I talked. I've had people tell me that I walk weird. So I've been self-conscious about, you know, how I walk. Granted, a lot of that has subsided and has, you know, not been a thing. I've gained a lot more confidence from when I was in high school. But yeah, that was the root of that anxiety when I was in high school, at least, that everybody was staring at me and judging me.
Human nature. Most people are stuck in their own heads and are thinking about themselves, not you. The moment you internalize this concept and genuinely start believing in it, your levels of social anxiety will drop significantly. But of course, this is much easier said than done. How in the world can we get ourselves to truly believe in the spotlight effect? Well, today I'm going to show you a simple 2-step process that I personally used to drill this concept into my own head.
Okay.
Step 1. You need to become more aware of your own thoughts. The large majority of us are oblivious to the 50 to 70,000 thoughts that we have on average every single day, which is why you need to start building a mindfulness habit like meditation, where you try to clear your head and try to focus on one thing like your breathing.
See, I don't know. I've tried the breathing thing and it does not work for me. But no, I have been hearing more and more in the past, like, recent years, of people trying meditation and it working for them. I will try it one day. I think, again, when I finally get my own apartment and my own space, I definitely want to start practicing more, like, you know, wellness and meditation and mindfulness practices. Like, I really want to, like, start doing stuff like this. I just feel like in the environment that I'm in right now, in the environments that I have been in, it hasn't really allowed for me to do that, because part of what makes meditation work is being able to silence your thoughts. Is being able to turn it off, turn your brain off, and just sit in silence and just, you know, shut all those thoughts out. And I just have not been able to do that. Like, I do not stop thinking. And not to say that, like, you should stop thinking, but, like, I'll think about things that I know I shouldn't even be thinking about. Like, I'll think about some mistake that I made last week, or I'll think about something that happened months ago, or I'll think about some incident that happened in high school. Like, I'm always thinking about so much stuff that kind of gets in the way. And so the idea of being able to clear my mind, it sounds amazing. It just doesn't feel possible, but I do need to at least try. And so I think, again, once I finally get into my own space where I can have that quietness and no one to bother me or walk in or make noise, I think that's when I'm gonna try to start doing stuff like this.
When you build a mindfulness practice like this, you will become 10 times more aware of how you think, and you will also start to notice that the large majority of your own thoughts are about yourself. Past events, future concerns,
Yep.
worrying about what.
Yep, literally all of these. Me worrying about myself, me worrying about things in the past, past mistakes that I've made, and me just worrying about past mistakes that I've made. Me worrying about the future. I'm always worrying about the future. Granted, I will say that this whole entire year has been me worrying about the future. That is one of my biggest that's the thing that really sits there in the forefront of my mind is my future, because everything that I'm doing right now is to set me up to have a better future. And with the way that this year has gone, man, I've just come to realize that worrying about the future just really isn't doing anything for me, because things are going to happen when they're going to happen. And right now, things aren't really moving in the way that I want it to move. And so instead of me sitting here worrying about stuff that I really don't have any control over, I should just and not to say that I didn't know that, but because of how this year has gone, I've kind of been able to let more stuff go, because just me worrying about it isn't equivalating to anything positive. But yeah, up until this point, me worrying about my future is always in the forefront of my mind, even though I've been able to kind of put that to the side, at least for this month. In terms of worrying about others, again, that was something that was big for me when I was in high school and middle school, elementary, whatever. But in recent years, I've honestly stopped caring. College honestly led me to really stop worrying about other people, because a part of why I am the way I am is because I am a people pleaser. I admit that. I like to people please, and I like to be there for people and stuff like that. But one thing that I've noticed is it doesn't matter how nice you are, how much you do for people. People are still going to find reasons to not be there for you, to not like you, to not prioritize you. And I've grown tired of that. I've grown tired of being so worried about being the perfect friend or being the perfect girlfriend, and then things still end. And it just feels well, what was the point of me trying to be perfect for these people if they just ended up letting me go anyway? And so I really have started to just stop worrying so much about what other people think, because people are going to do them, and I have to do, what's best for me, and, that's it.
Others think, that sort of stuff. You'll notice that less than 1% of your own thoughts will be about other people that you come across randomly throughout the day. Step 2. Once you've started becoming more aware of your own thoughts, you can start doing another mental exercise, one that I like to call the swapping shoes exercise. This is when you go to a public place and pick out a random individual. Then you focus, and you try your hardest to imagine what's going on in their head. Imagine that you're in their shoes, living their life. What problems are they currently facing? What are they currently worrying or stressing out about? What sort of insecure thoughts are going on in their head? What other things do you think they're thinking about? Allow yourself to really imagine being in their shoes, and also imagine what sort of thoughts are going on in their head. By doing this exercise, you will start to condition yourself to believe that others spend the majority of their time thinking about their own problems and themselves, which is actually true. The more you do this, the more you will internalize the spotlight effect, which in turn will allow you to start feeling less and less social anxiety, as you start to realize that people just aren't paying that much attention to you. It might sound a bit sad to realize this, but in reality, you'll feel a huge weight being lifted off of your shoulders. You will feel free. This episode is sponsored by Blinkist. Oftentimes I get questions from you guys about where I get all of my ideas from, and to be
okay, I guess that's the end of the video. Yeah, this was a pretty good video. I think it helped, again, to explain to those of you who are watching, what having social anxiety feels like. Again, I feel like a lot of people just think that it's being nervous or being scared to talk in front of people, but it goes so much deeper to that. Like you said, you are literally sitting there, feeling like everyone's watching you. You're feeling judged. You're worried about the next thing and the last thing. It's a lot. It's a lot. And when you have high anxiety, and when you have anxiety that literally affects your day-to-day, and you're anxious literally every single day, it's hard. It's really hard. It's not easy. dealing with anxiety. But yeah, so the techniques he talked about. So he said, what was step number 1? Was it the meditation? I think he said the meditation was step 1, and then step 2 was to imagine yourself as someone else going through their own problems. I have I at least try to remind myself. I try to remind myself that everybody is going through things, because it is easy to look on social media and see other people living their lives, and you think that, you know, everything's going fine for them and they're living their best life. But you know, everybody is going through stuff, which I know. And it kind of gets on my nerves a little bit when people say like, oh well, everybody's going through something. Well, yes, but you're also allowed to, you know, express and feel how you feel about your situation. You know, like, just because the next person might be going through something similar or going through something worse than you are doesn't mean that you shouldn't have your feelings about what you're going through. And so yeah, I think those were pretty good tips. You know, it's just it's hard, because it is a mental thing. Like, I won't sit here and act like it's not a mental thing, but it is easier said than done to try and overcome that social anxiety. But yeah, let me know what you guys thoughts are in the comments down below. Do you suffer with social anxiety? Have you tried these techniques? What did you think about these techniques? And if you have techniques for how you overcome your anxiety, leave them in the comments down below. I will definitely read them, because like I said, I definitely need some help with dealing with this. So if you have any advice on how you deal with your anxiety, let me know in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.